Well, good morning, everyone. We'll make a start. Welcome to the Founding Partners Press Conference for the 2023 Asia Pacific Amateur Championship. My name is Mike Woodcock, and I'm here from the R&A to host today's press conference. I'll begin by introducing our panel this morning. To my immediate left is Mr. Fred Ridley, Chairman of the Masters Tournament. In the centre is Mr. Taimur Hassan Amin, Chairman of the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation. On the far left-hand side is Mr. Martin Slumbers, the Chief Executive of the R&A. We'll begin this morning by making an important announcement regarding our 2024 venue. Taimur. It's on.
It's on. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Mike. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2023 Asia Pacific Amateur Championship. We are grateful for your presence today, as the coverage you provide plays an integral role in the success of this championship. We in the APGC are very fortunate to have two of the biggest and most respected golfing organizations partner us in developing this great tournament. Thanks to the vision of the leaders of the Masters tournament and the R&A, this historic event was introduced in 2009. Since then, it has grown into one of the world's premier amateur events. To our friends from the Masters and the R&A, we thank you for your continued partnership and dedication to this event. Your diligence has contributed greatly to the growth and development of this championship, for which we are very appreciative. As we gather for the 14th chapter of the championship, it is with great excitement that we welcome the region's top amateurs to compete for the title of the Asia Pacific Amateur Champion and its life-changing rewards. The opportunity this event provides the talented players from our region has considerably raised the standard to a point where our players are able to compete with and against the best in the world. Amongst our past Asia Pacific amateur graduates, Hideki Matsuyama and Cameron Smith have gone on to win the Masters and the Open respectively. This week, the world-class Royal Melbourne Golf Club will present a formidable challenge for all the contestants. I speak for the group when I say we cannot wait to watch the action unfold over the next 4 days. Just as significant as the play on the course is the legacy that this championship has these players leave for the next generation of golfers. The collective goal of the founding partners is to help develop the game and inspire greater participation throughout the region. As we sit here today, we are confident that the future of the sport has never been stronger in the Asia Pacific region. At this juncture, we would like to recognize our tremendous host, the Royal Melbourne Golf Club, and this beautiful test of golf. The gracious hospitality shown by the members, staff, and everyone at the Royal Melbourne is in a class of its own. Thanks to their hard work and the contribution of the team at Golf Australia, we are underway this morning and excited to see what transpires over the next few days. Finally, it is with great enthusiasm that we would like to announce the host for 2024 Asia Pacific Championship. Next year, the championship will be celebrated. The 15th anniversary of the event will head to Japan at the Taimur Club's Gotemba course. The Asia Pacific Amateur has a storied history in Japan, and we are excited for the championship to make its debut at the Gotemba course. We are confident that Mr. Sean Han, the CEO and President of Taimur Club, who is with us today, and the entire Taimur team will help us to deliver a memorable championship next year. I would like to thank all of you again here at this time, and be happy to take some questions. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Taimur. So we'll take some questions. If you'd like to raise a hand, we can get a microphone to you. We'll start with Joy.
Mr. Ridley, Mr. Slumbers, Taimur, everyone is talking about Royal Melbourne Golf Club as a fantastic venue for this year's championship, as it was in 2014. How important is it for the founding members to have golf courses like Royal Melbourne as part of the rota every year in developing golf in this region?
Well, thank you for that question. We're certainly very excited to be here at Royal Melbourne. I remember when I first learned of the venue for 2014 and how excited I and everyone that the Masters tournament was. Of course, we have a particularly affinity for this golf course because its designer, Alistair McKenzie, also designed Augusta National. As a matter of fact, this was an inspiration for Augusta National, having opened just a year or two before we opened at Augusta. I think the significance of venues as prestigious as Royal Melbourne is it really elevates the stature of the championship. As you know, the Asia Pacific Amateur was created to provide a platform for these great young golfers to excel, to get recognized, to have a light shine on them, and then to go back home and inspire others. So to have venues of this stature just really adds to all of that. And so we couldn't be more excited to be here this year.
Okay, next question, Evan, please.
Question for Mr. Ridley and Mr. Slumbers. In the wake of Live Golf being denied world ranking points, I'm just wondering, can you entertain a scenario in the future where there is a category for criteria for Live golfers to play in the Masters and the Open Championship?
So, shall I take that first? We're in the process of reviewing our exemptions and conditions of entry for the Open Championship for next year, as we always do. And we will publish those in early 2024. And as I've stated a number of times, our conditions are designed in a way to create pathways for the very best players in the world to compete at the Open Championship next year at Royal Troon. I would say though that there's been some speculation in the media recently on the topic that you're raising, and I would say that it is completely off the mark. I would like to make it very clear that exemptions for the Open, we do not discuss them with anyone, and nor would we at any point in time. I think it's very important that we don't lose sight of the fact that the Open is intended to be open to everybody, but you earn your place in the field and through exemptions, and that won't change.
Sure. If you look back over the history of the Masters tournament and the qualifications that have existed, we have changed those qualifications numerous times, dozens of times. We look at those every year. We don't make changes every year, but we do look at them under the current circumstances. As you'll recall, last year there was some speculation as to whether or not we would invite live golfers, and we stayed true to our qualification criteria, and we invited everyone who was eligible. And so while we do not at this time anticipate making any changes in 2024, we do always look at them, and we will continue to do that. So I would just answer it by saying that that our qualifications are very much dynamic, and we adjust to what we feel is in the best interest of the tournament and representing the best players in the world. So we'll always look at that.
Just to follow up with the both of you, if I may, would it be unfortunate to see some of those live golfers who aren't exempt into the Masters and the Open for whatever reason slip out of being able to play in the tournament? Perhaps it's more of a question for you, Mr. Ridley, than Mr. Slumbers, because they can still qualify for the Open, but would it be a shame to see players like, say, a Taylor Gooch or someone like that slip out of being able to play in the Masters tournament?
Well, I mean, they made decisions based on what they thought was in the best interest of their golf careers, and we certainly respect that. We do have, and our invitation criteria does say that we reserve the right to invite, issue special exemptions to international players, although we did issue a special exemption to an amateur and the NCAA champion last year. So we're always looking at that. But these decisions have been made, and will have to do what's in the best interest of the Masters, and we'll continue to do that.
And from my perspective, without getting into detail, there are we make sure there are plenty of opportunities for any player in the world who thinks they're good enough to have a chance to qualify and play in the Open Championship, irrespective of which tour that they are participating on, and that will not change.
Okay, next question, front there, please.
For Mr. Ridley, we saw there was some news that NK is officially Augusta national member now. Can you confirm it and talk about what the thought behind that? Thank you.
Well, let me just start by saying that we have had a longstanding policy of not commenting on membership issues. However, I am very excited about Annika. So I will just say that. She is a delightful person. As you know, we have a number of women members and have for quite a few years. I think they've made us a better club, and they're an integral part of our culture. I've known Annika for quite some time, and I think she's going to be a great addition to the club. I played golf with her at an opening member event last week, and I can tell you she can still play, and she was just a delight to be with.
Okay, next question, just behind you, second row there.
Morning, gentlemen. Question for Mr. Taimur. So this year's AAC sees a golfer from Brunei for the very first time. How is this a reflection of how the event has expanded the game's reach in the Asia Pacific region?
Brunei became a member only 2 years ago, and there is a criteria that allows a player from each country to be invited. So it's great to have a young player from Brunei. We look forward to him being the inspiration for other players for Brunei, so that the number of players increase. This is based on world ranking, and every time you get a bigger base of players, you have more players play. So similarly, other new entrants into the region are welcomed. This is an opportunity they've dreamt of. He will go back, and at least he can dream. So it's a great opportunity. I thank both the gentlemen sitting with me to give them the opportunity, give our kids the opportunity to play with the future stars of the world, and hopefully become one themselves.
If I could just add to that, because it's something that we feel very strongly about. Golf is about opportunity and about pathways, and creating open pathways for new countries to emerge and for players to develop and see how good they are is something that is, I think, special about our game, and is something we will fight and do fight very hard for. And something I'm very proud of, that the team that from Fred's, from the Masters tournament and from the RNA and APGC put together in the last few years is an academy. And we take some of the countries that don't have some of the resources of the big countries, and we bring them to a location, and we bring the best coaches that we can find in the region to help them. And I think it's 24 people in the field this week who have been through our academy, and that's what makes golf really good.
Just to add to that, last year there were 3 academies, 2 in Thailand and 1 in Australia. So this helped, and of those kids that came to the academy, 14 or 15 of them are playing in the tournament. So there's a huge spin-off of this event, and that goes to our region and all the new the children and young players who are aspiring or trying to get the opportunity to come and train at fantastic facilities. The facility across the road from here at Golf Australia is outstanding. I went there yesterday, and it's absolutely fantastic. So these kids from less developed golf countries to come and play here, it's a great opportunity for them to learn, and that's how they've gotten better. And so many have come into this tournament.
Next question, front row. Russell, please.
Question, the Slumbers, if I might. Just can you offer us any intelligence or insight into the ongoing negotiations between PGA Tour and the PIF, given they have such a big impact on the broader landscape of golf?
No, I can't. I'm not part of the deal. I'm not at the table. But what I will say is what we said publicly when it was first announced that they were going to sit down, which is actually, we welcomed it. We were pleased that it was happening. I think it's very important that the game comes together again. We've got too much divisive discussion going on. I look forward to hearing whatever the outcome is. And I keep coming back to the real crux of the matter. Golf is in a fantastic space at the moment. There's over 100 million people consume golf around the world. Less than 0.1% of those play for money. The vast majority of that 100 million play for the love of playing golf. And I think it's very important that we don't lose sight of that in the whole media discussion about what's happening in the game. And it is an exciting position for us to be, and I see that 100 million continuing to grow and golf going from strength to strength.
With that said, then, are you happy with the instability seemingly at the top level of the game in the moment when you've got a bunch of players not knowing what they're doing in 2024, 5 weeks out from the end of the year? And to Mr. Ridley as well, we've had nearly 2 years of this now, and we've got to there's a deadline of December 31 that might be pushed back, which is keeping a lot of players at the top level of the game in a state of flux.
Well, I'd just like to say this is not the first time there's been discord in the sport. I mean, you go back in the history of the PGA and the PGA Tour, and I think that everybody is really trying to do what's right for the game. We were supportive publicly when this announcement was made back in June, and for the very same reason that Martin spoke of, and that is that it's better when we all work together, and it's better when there's harmony in the game. So we certainly hope that some agreement will be ultimately reached and we'll move forward. We're going to be very, very supportive of that, and but time will tell. I'm sure it'll work its way out.
Dealing with amateurs here who obviously have ambitions most of them to turn professional. What do you see the landscape like in 5 years for these sorts of guys? Do you see more money, multiple more tours? What do you see the landscape like in 5-10 years for these guys?
I think there are two points in that, in the way I think about it. And one is, I think it's very important that whatever the shape of the game is, as it moves through elite amateur level into professional golf, that there are pathways to be able to play and achieve one's ability. And that pathway is totally driven by how hard the individual is willing to work and how good what their natural talent is. And the second thing is we need to make sure that however it all shapes out, and how it in the future comes, the game needs to be financially sustainable. There's nothing worse to me than having a structure that doesn't create long-term sustainability, because that's not good for the game of golf, and it's not good for the next generation of players to come along. And I think it's very important that the game does focus on the medium and long term, both in terms of pathways and in terms of financial sustainability.
Yeah, and I'd like to make one other point to that, just to add to Martin's comments. I think every great organization has one common trait, and that is the people inside that organization always want to leave their organization better than they found it. And I believe there's an obligation in the game of golf to that as well. If you look back over the history of the game, the greats, the legends of the game, Saracen, Hogan, Palmer, Nicklaus, Woods, they all had that attitude. While they were great champions, and certainly they had great personal drives themselves, to succeed, they were thinking about the bigger picture. And so I believe that we ought to take a step back and think about that. And I certainly hope that these young players, as they experience this great week this week and ultimately move on either to become professionals or just play golf at their clubs, they'll think about how they can give back. I played in a Pro-Am a couple of weeks ago with a golf professional in the Westchester County, Metro New York area. And he had been a pro at a club for 23 years. And he said he loved every minute of it. Well, 2 years ago, he qualified for the Champions Tour. He's in his second year now on the Champions Tour. he's doing pretty well. He's about 35th, 40th on the money list. But he told me, he said, I am living the dream. I think he's going to make about $500,000 this year, which is nothing to sneeze at. But the point is that he appreciated so much what golf had given to him. And to have the opportunity to move from a club professional position, which he really loved, to playing golf on a tour was just a dream come true for him. So I think we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture here and look at the obligations that all of us have to get back to the game. And I hope that some of these players, as they're developing, will take that attitude, because that really is that's the secret sauce to perpetuating this great game. That it's not all about today, it's not all about the money, it's not all about what's in it for me, it's what can I do to make the game better. And so I think that's what all of us are trying to do here. I hope that these young men understand that. I think that they do. Certainly by some of the comments I heard last night at the welcome reception, clearly they appreciate what's going on. So I just hope we don't lose sight of that.
Okay, we'll move to this side of the room and take our final question. Swami, please.
Mr. Slumbers, Mr. Ridley, and Mr. Hassan. Mr. Slumbers spoke about how golf is growing and for the better of the game. Mr. Ridley just shared an experience of a senior golfer actually living his dream. This quality championships like the Asia Pacific has traveled to about 6 or 7 countries in the past 15 years, and there's about 35 countries in Asia. I know this championships actually set a benchmark. Is there a possibility of this championships going beyond the 6 countries? Many of them, like my own country, India, may not be able to afford or may not have the facility to actually host such a quality championships. But the RNA and the Augusta National, which has actually brought the game to this part of the world and taken it so far, is there a possibility of the two of you or your organizations also help some of the other countries to host such quality championships in the future?
I think the answer to that question in theory is yes. The mission of what we're trying to do here is to create platforms for the next generation of players and to promote and showcase elite amateur golf throughout the region. And but in other ways, we're a victim of our own success. We're staging this, I think, arguably on one of the finest golf courses in the world. And we are so fortunate that every year we get countries who realize the potential of this championship. Next year in Japan, to be able to showcase their country, to be able to showcase golf, and to give the platform for that. And I think it's very important that we keep pushing that. And if no one else would love India to put a credible proposition together, it's not about the money so much, it's about can you put on a world-class championship and showcase the world and have the ambition for it. And I think the ambition that we share for this championship is realized year after year, and I think it's continuing to go from strength to strength, and I'd love to see it in other countries, but it needs to reflect this very high quality that we have here.
Mr. Ridley?
No, I don't have a lot to add what Martin said. Clearly, we would like to take this championship to more countries. There are a number of factors, starting with the quality of the golf course, and we've got a 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 this year. But then there are other considerations, logistics, operational issues, security, etc. So I think in the long term, yes, we do want to do that, and we should do it when the opportunity presents itself. I think in the short term, we want to continue to provide this platform where golfers from all countries in the Asia Pacific region can come and show their talents on a worldwide stage, and hopefully take that back home. And it can be a virtuous cycle, but we definitely do want to continue to look at that.
Either of you been to India?
I built a business in India for 10 years, so yeah, I travel to India a lot.
And see you?
I have not. It sounds like an invitation.
Absolutely, it is. And I must tell you, last night we were speaking about this tournament is probably one of the 10 best in the world, all the majors put together also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, on that note, thank you, everyone. I'm afraid we have to draw things to a close this morning, but thank you and have a fantastic week, and thank you to our panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.